For centuries, scientists have tried to uncover the secrets of the marine life that lives in the waters off the coasts of Europe. We know very little about the animals that live here. We know very little about their migrations, how they feed, and how they reproduce. These behaviors have remained almost completely unknown until recently. But now science is advancing at a rapid pace. The latest data shed light on the biology of the life here and its interaction with the environment. In order to obtain such data, biologists used technology unimaginable just a few decades ago. GPS technology, acoustic telemetry, and software that allows the captured data to be processed. The coast of Galicia, an area in Spain's northwestern corner and for centuries known as the sea at the edge of the known world. An area of the Atlantic Ocean teeming with life and with mysteries yet to be discovered. Long, narrow inlets known as rias snake their way several kilometers inland, filling ancient fluvial valleys. The undulating coast here is of outstanding beauty. Deep ocean currents, rich in nutrients, meet in the rias. This creates one of the world's most productive ecosystems. Large amounts of kelp cover the rocks in spring and summer. These kelp forests offer protection to a host of sea creatures. And they are the ideal habitat for many fish. Two of the most abundant residents of this coast are two members of the ballan wrasse family, known locally as spotted wrasse and plain wrasse. Due to their different colouring and patterns, local fishermen identify these wrasse with different names. Spotted wrasse have white dots on a red background, while the plain wrasse have a brown and greenish colouring. These two fish have been traditionally considered the same species and come under the same name of ballan wrasse in English. Yet their different appearance and local names suggest they should be classified differently, a theory backed by several biologists. In order to unravel this uncertain classification, the marine ecology team from the Spanish Marine Research Institute, the CSIC, planned to carry out a project of observation and tagging. This project is to be carried out over several years within the National Park of the Atlantic Islands of Galicia. In autumn and winter, the Galician coastline is battered by Atlantic storms. Hurricane-force westerly winds generate huge waves which can be over 10 meters high. The seabed, even at great depths, is altered by these storms. Because of this, the study is carried out in an area protected from the strength of the winter storms, next to a small island within the Cies Islands archipelago. These wrasse reproduce between January and April. The fish's sex is difficult to determine from mere sight. Instead, it is ascertained by measuring their concentration of sexual hormones.
These are telemetric acoustic sensors. We paint these cylinders with protective paint and then place them on the seabed, anchoring them using this system we have here. These are rust-proof anchors and have an attachment hook underneath here. What we do is approach the seafloor, always a sandy seabed. Insert the screw and twist it so that it is buried up to here, more or less. They are highly resistant to bad weather and ocean swells. The sensor is located inside here. It must be vertical with the antenna, which is this small cylinder here, able to receive signals from all directions. For the fish, we insert the sensor so we can follow it using acoustics. We also mark the fish's body. These are the tags we call type T, made of plastic. We mark them using this pistol. The aim is to be able to identify the different fish under the water.
The first stage of the study involves installing acoustic sensor receptors on the sea bed. The anchoring of the receptor must penetrate more than a meter into the sand. Over 16 months, the network of receptors will be checked regularly in order to download their data and replace their batteries. Their distribution forms a dense network such that the signal emitted by each fish is captured by more than a single receptor. This allows the fish's exact location to be pinpointed within the area of coverage by means of triangulation. These wrasse are most active around dawn and dusk, their main feeding time. Their diet consists mainly of crustaceans, urchins, and mussels. The fish must be caught without harm in order to tag them. The first attempt to capture with a net takes place during the day. Catching them is not as easy as it looks. After a few failed attempts, they decide to try again at night. With the onset of darkness, the wrasses look for protection in caves and rocky hollows. They tend to sleep in the same place each night. Others prefer the protection offered by large seaweed, which moves gracefully with the rhythm of the ocean. Their nighttime refuge allows them to be captured with ease. The fish are carefully caught and plastic tags are then applied. These are programmed to allow the identification of each fish. The sex of the fish is checked by touching its abdomen. The resultant ejaculation indicates that it is a fertile male. This makes the biologists decide to use this male as the study's main subject. They christen him Ulysses. Over the next few years, Ulysses will be followed and observed in great detail. Free again, he makes for the safety of his shelter. In order to insert the acoustic emitters, the fish must be brought to the surface and onto the boat. This large spotted wrasse is chosen for the study. Once under anesthetic, blood samples are taken. Then a transmitter is inserted. A color coding system is used so that the fish can be recognized visually. All this takes just a few minutes. The fish is then carefully released in the same place it was caught. It recovers quickly from the anesthetic after being released. The day after his tagging, Ulysses continues life as normal. patrolling his territory where mating and spawning take place. He does not allow any other male to encroach upon his territory. Winter sets in, and with it the mating season of other animals from the area also begins. Whilst copulating, this octopus displays its arousal with vivid changes in shape and colour. Lengthening its arm, it is able to insert his sperm into the female's mantle. This pair of cuttlefish is in the middle of mating. The male displays distinctive colours and patterns in order to fend off other potential suitors. Cuttlefish can change their colour along with the pattern and texture of their skin. When hunting small fish, they blend in with their environment. They move rapidly and use their tentacles to ensnare their victims. Spring comes, and seaweed begins to cover the rocks. Some fish also change their colour in order to blend in with their environment when hunting. Pollock lurk amidst the seaweed and adopt its colour. Those who decide to attack this school of sand eels in open water adopt a silver colouring which blurs their silhouette. An attack on both flanks proves to be more effective. A year has passed since the fish were tagged with detection devices. Scientists check that the ballan wrasse are still in the same area.
This is a Venco-directional hydrophone which links to a unit aboard, which is this one. The hydrophone is fitted within this piece of metal which only registers signals from in front and not from the rear or from either side.
The results show the wrasse lead a fairly sedentary lifestyle. Their daily life exists within the area of a football pitch. The data also show that each day the fish spend the night around the same rocks. David and Gonzalo are very intrigued to locate Ulysses 1 year after tagging him. Surprisingly, our protagonist is found in exactly the same area as the previous winter. But time has left its mark. Ulysses has lost a tag, and the other is covered by seaweed. His skin is covered in tiny parasites. To rid themselves of the annoying copypods, these fish head to a cleaning station and position themselves in a vertical position. This signals a team of small cleaners to come and remove the parasites. Mullet also come for the same cleaning service. Both spotted and plain wrasses reach sexual maturity after 3 years. They are hermaphrodites. All are born female, but some later become male. This sex change is irreversible and happens when they are about 8 years old. If the dominant male disappears from his territory, a female will come in and take over the area. These fish can live up to 30 years. In the reproductive season, both the spotted wrasse and the plain wrasse establish their territory around certain rocks on the seabed. Males court the females by swimming alongside them and guiding the female towards the mating area. Occasionally, the female escapes to another area, in which case the male chases her, guiding her back to the mating area. This spotted wrasse has marked its territory. The biologists identify him by the patterns on his skin, which are unique to each individual. They christen him Zeus. Zeus has managed to attract 3 females to his territory. All of them have the same pattern. Over the coming days, Zeus will woo them all before mating with each. During the course of this study, spotted and plain wrasse were not seen mating between them. When they get excited, the plain wrasse can change their patterning by changing color almost instantaneously. Ulysses has also changed his appearance, but his identity is confirmed as he is tagged. This female is attracted towards Ulysses. She spends hours cleaning the exact spot where the eggs will be laid. She even uses her teeth to remove seaweed from the rocks. Only the most stubbornly attached seaweed is left. The moment of mating has arrived. Ulysses approaches his partner and stimulates her by making physical contact. During spawning, the female shudders and releases thousands of eggs which attach to the bottom. The male then fertilizes them with his sperm. To ensure the reproduction is a success, both male and female synchronize their movements, sticking close together. Ulysses displays changes in the intensity of his coloring, showing his arousal. In order to observe the behavior of fish underwater, cameras are used by divers. Mini cameras are also fixed to the seabed. These cameras capture hours' worth of activity without interrupting the fish's routine. Both male and female are in a trance-like state for several seconds at the climax of their sexual intercourse. This process repeats itself every few seconds until the female lays more than 100,000 eggs. Mating finished, the female leaves, but Ulysses remains, guarding the eggs until they hatch about a week later. Plain wrasses and spotted wrasses lay small eggs, around 1 millimeter in diameter and very sticky, to the degree that they hardly move with the force from the swell or currents. Eggs are everywhere in the spawning area, draped over the seaweed. Samples of eggs are collected to be analyzed back in the laboratory.
Look how well you can see it. We caught the edges now, 20 minutes ago. A male was watching over them, and we surfaced. They're already hatched. They're larvae now.
They're pretty active, aren't they?
Yeah, there are about 2 dozen. They must be premature larvae, hatched due to stress.
The characteristics of the larvae can be observed through the microscope. They hatch with a food reserve that allows them to survive the first few days. In their first few days, the newborn are pelagic. The vast majority are eaten. Those that survive remain on the seabed. Here they have a greater chance of surviving to adulthood. The shelter attracts various predators. This spotted wrasse must continuously repel attacks from white sea bream, who try and take the eggs. During winter, females mate with the same or sometimes various males until laying between 1 and 2 million eggs. It has been 3 years since the start of the study. David and Gonzalo returned to the study site. The researchers check that Ulysses has yet again chosen the same rocks to mate. Ulysses and his peers' behavior confirms that year after year these fish exhibit highly territorial behavior. The results of the study have been encouraging. New data about wrasses' territorial and reproductive behavior have been gathered. This is important in contributing to their protection from overfishing. It has also been shown that males mate with females who have the same pattern. This observation, along with other data, contributes to the hypothesis that spotted ballan wrasses and plain ballan wrasses, despite both being known as ballan wrasse, have actually evolved in different ways. Not all wrasse have the same habits when it comes to spawning and taking care of their newborn. During spring, corkwing wrasse display colourful patterns and prepare the nest to lay eggs. They spend weeks gathering pieces of seaweed and shells to build their new shelter. One side of the shelter is left open for access. Corkwing wrasse, like related species, make their shelter on rocks or on sandy seabed. Females are attracted to the shelter which has been prepared by the male, and they help in its construction. Amidst the frenzied work, they develop a dark blue genital pore. Males can mate with several females. Once the shelter is prepared, females lay their eggs. The male must be alert. Other males, although of a smaller size, can adopt a female's colours and behaviour. In this way, they can stealthily and swiftly approach the shelter and release their own sperm on the batch of newborn. These furtive and incognito males are known as snatchers. Throughout the spawning, males continue to watch over and clean the nest. They continue this until the eggs hatch. At the same time, males continue to clean the nest and ward off unwanted visitors. Even the presence of this octopus does not scare the brave wrasse. The immense ocean, the planet's most extensive ecosystem. It covers 3/4 of the globe's surface, yet remains almost completely unexplored. Marine biologists carry out their work here, and one of their greatest challenges is to understand the animals which inhabit this vast expanse. Among these ocean dwellers, sharks like the mako and blue shark. Blue sharks live in all the world's oceans. Their streamlined profile allows them to cut through the water with ease. Understanding the habitat of these sharks is a race against time. They are fished on an industrial scale. The lack of regulation about their capture has led to their numbers diminishing at an alarming rate. An international team has set out to discover more about these sharks by using data transmitted from satellite. These data will enable the shark's behavior to be better understood.
I'm holding a spot transmitter, like the ones we use to track sharks out in the open ocean. It's made up of a data recorder, a battery, and antenna. This is another type of transmitter that we use called PAT. It also attaches to the dorsal fin. It is pre-programmed to stay attached to the shark for 2, 3, even 4 months, depending on what we program it to do. After this, the transmitter breaks off the fin. It floats to the surface. It connects with the satellite and sends data on water depth, temperature, and position. We use these plastic daggers on a large scale. They're made up of a code and registration details in several languages. Their information is sent once the animal is recaptured.
20 miles off the coast of Galicia, the research begins. The first hurdle is locating the sharks. Fish oil is released into the water to attract the sharks. Thanks to their extraordinary senses, sharks can detect tiny quantities of dissolved fish oil and remains and follow their trail. Under the water, their behavior is observed. Blue sharks have large eyes. They have a nictitating membrane which protects them when they are feeding or when they feel threatened. These small blue sharks swim after the bait. Their ravenous hunger is clearly displayed in their aggression, both in attacking the pieces of fish and in their sudden movements whilst eating. The tendency for groups of similar sizes of fish to congregate has been noted. Perhaps this protects them from their larger co-species, whose presence prompts a quick escape. The collaboration of recreational fishermen is essential for this study, as it allows a greater number of species to be captured. They are captured in such a way so as to cause the animal minimal distress. All captured sharks are tagged on their dorsal fins. Biometric data are also logged. There is tension when the sharks are released. They can be aggressive due to the stress of being in captivity. Some tagged individuals are subsequently recaptured by fishermen working in the Atlantic. The journey between being tagged initially and eventually recaptured can be thousands of miles. But this reveals rich data on migration, distribution, and growth patterns. biologists must head to the open waters of the northern Atlantic to study large sharks. It is in this hostile environment that they confront the greatest challenge: the search and tagging of these great predators. This is the goal that motivates months spent on board long-liner fishing vessels, sharing the day-to-day with the fishermen. The scientists must weather the storms of the North Atlantic, its isolation, limited communication, and the hard lifestyle aboard a commercial fishing vessel. The longliners cast hundreds of lines during their long voyage. They collect the lines each day, capturing the sharks which have taken the bait. As well as the blue sharks and makos, other species of shark are accidentally captured. Among them, the hammerhead and the tiger shark. Once aboard, species of this size require a team effort of both fishermen and scientists. Within 5 minutes, data loggers are attached and the shark is released back to the sea. The data loggers are activated once in contact with water and begin to send signals via satellite. Sharks have been tagged over many years, and gradually data are being compiled about their behavior. They are tireless swimmers. In a few months, they will cross the Atlantic from east to west, swimming more than 100 miles per day. By night, they move close to the surface, while during daylight, they submerge to great depths where they spend hours. Presumably, this is associated with the search for food. In certain areas of the ocean, warm and cold currents meet, forming areas known as oceanic fronts. These waters are known for their high biological productivity, and this abundance of prey attracts sharks. Thanks to the scientists' work, and with the help of new technology, knowledge of these sharks has been advancing rapidly. Data gathered are essential to lay the framework for an efficient and sustainable fishing policy. Their life cycle, slow growth, maturity takes time, and a small amount of young survive. These factors make them vulnerable to overfishing. Implementing policy to regulate their capture is an urgent task. It is now summer on the Galician coast, and kelp covers the rocks. With the season coming to an end, spider crabs form groups numbering in the hundreds. The crabs group together in this way for protection. In this season, they shed their shells, making them an easy target for predators. Throughout the day, they seldom move and are almost invisible due to their camouflage. They are resourceful in looking for a disguise. Many types of seaweed, sponges, anemones, and gorgonian can cover their shell. Dusk in the rear. Under darkness, marine life changes its behavior. Some fish, like these mullet, take a rest at night. Nocturnal predators, like the rockling, go out hunting. This pipefish is stalking its prey by concealing itself in the leaves of the seagrass. But the hunter can also become the hunted. Cuttlefish are able to hunt under the cover of darkness. They use the bioluminescence and the moonlight's reflection to capture their prey. These spider crabs are most active at night. This female shows us the technique they use to decorate themselves. With awe-inspiring dexterity, she cuts fragments of seaweed, chews them, and places them on her shell. The result is nothing short of transformative. The crustaceans look like just about anything except a spider crab. Spider crabs feed on a wide variety of other species. Mussels make up part of their diet. To eat them, they must prise open their valves using their powerful claws. Starfish also feature high up on their menu, as this one shows, cutting up and then devouring the echinoderm. The chemoreception gives them information needed to detect prey. This male digs his large claws deep into the sand to find and capture a clam. To eat the bivalve, the spider crab must first crack its hard shell. With its powerful claws, the crab can exert a pressure of more than 50 kilos on the clam. The clam has been cut up and wolfed down in minutes. Spider crabs shed their shell for the last time when they are about 2 years old. They also reach sexual maturity at this time. Autumn brings big ocean swells along with changes in ocean temperature and salinity. This is the time when the spider crabs begin their migration towards the continental shelf. They seek a mate in the deep ocean. The research team, led by Eduardo González Gurriarán, has spent many years studying these crustaceans.
In order to carry out such a study, it is essential to know the animal's biology, its reproductive cycle, size, age of sexual maturity, growth rate, molting cycle, etc. Understanding the spider crab's migration required the use of technology that in the mid-1990s, when we decided to use it, it was uncommon: ultrasonic transmitters and electronic data loggers.
In order to place the data loggers' devices in the spider crabs, suitable candidates are captured for the research study. Before attaching the data loggers, the crab's shell must be cleaned and dried. This is completed quickly. The crab is freed in the same habitat in which it was captured. As summer ends, a long journey begins.
Once an animal is recaptured, the data loggers reveal data about the areas which the animal has visited. The research was carried out in the area of La Coruña, in northern Galicia. This allowed us to see how the spider crabs stuck in the Bay of La Coruña went as far as the coast of Asturias, hundreds of kilometers away, and reaching depths of more than 175 meters.
On returning to shallower waters, this female has her abdomen full of eggs. Once hatched, the larvae begin a pelagic period. This is the first stage of their life cycle. The amount of knowledge gained on the spider crab's biology during this research has led to great advances in their capture management and conservation. A strong current flows in the channel between the Cies Islands. Calm, sandy seabeds are found at the eastern end of the islands, protected from the open ocean swells. Undulate rays are regulars here in winter and spring. They are a protected species and rare in other parts of the Atlantic, but they are common in the Galician rias. They spend the day resting on the sand among the rocks. The strong currents circulate water through their gills when they are not moving. When they want to hide themselves completely, they can bury themselves in less than a minute. Beneath the sand, these rays are almost completely invisible. Only their eyes poke up above the sand. Males can be differentiated from females by their sexual organs, clearly visible on both sides of the tail. Females reach sexual maturity when they are 9 years old. They can live until they are 21 years old and grow to over a meter long. They lay their eggs in winter when the water temperature is at its lowest. The high concentration of rays in this area around the Cies Islands in wintertime, and the abundance of eggs on the seabed, suggests this is a breeding ground. These rays' favorite prey is crab. Fitted with special electronic sensing organs, known as Lorenzini ampullae, rays can detect crabs hidden beneath shells, rocks and sand. These are moved to reveal the crab's presence. At night time, the rays are at their most active. They constantly move around the seabed, only pausing to trap their prey. The behavioral patterns of the undulate rays have yet to be fully understood. In order to discover more about them, biologists from the Institute of Marine Research in Vigo have started a project of tagging and monitoring the rays. To do this, divers identified 30 specimens throughout 2012 and tagged each one. The process is straightforward and the animals are not harmed. One year later, and some rays have returned to the same spot. This suggests that the undulate rays migrate away in summer and autumn, but return to the Cies Islands each winter. Studies suggest they return here to breed. Many of these species' traits are still unknown. For researchers, the future still holds many surprises and great discoveries about their behavior. Excessive fishing along the coast of Galicia threatens the biodiversity of this highly productive area of the Atlantic Ocean. Overfishing here has violated sustainable limits tolerated by the ecosystem. This Argus grouper, recorded in 2002, was the last of its type to be seen in the Rias. Spiny lobsters disappeared decades ago, victims of overfishing. This couple, captured off the Portuguese coast, will prove essential to a project to reintroduce the species. Using their larvae, biologists hope to repopulate the Rias with these crustaceans that were once so abundant. We are too late to save the spiny lobster and Argus grouper, but we still have time to protect the last remaining European lobsters, giant moray eels, and other species under threat. Broadening our scientific knowledge and supporting conservation efforts are essential in achieving this goal.